This mistake will quietly bleed you dry in 2026. You won't see it coming. You won't feel panic at first. You'll feel comfortable, and comfort is what kills retirements. I'm Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, and I don't sugarcoat money. Right now, millions of investors think they're being safe. They're hiding in what I call comfort trades. Familiar names, big dividends, old habits, things that feel stable. They're wrong. And if you're within 10 years of retirement, this could destroy your lifestyle. Let me be blunt. If your portfolio makes you feel relaxed right now, you should be worried. Because the market doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about math, cash flow, inflation, risk. And in 2026, comfort is going to be expensive. Before I go any further, listen to me carefully. If protecting your retirement matters to you, you need to subscribe to this channel. I built this community for one reason, to protect real people from losing real money, not traders, not gamblers, retirees, pre-retirees, people who can't afford mistakes. I've lived through crashes. I've watched portfolios evaporate, and I've watched people cling to safe ideas while their buying power disappeared. If that sounds like something you want to avoid, subscribe now. Here's the problem. Most people define safety the wrong way. They think safety means low volatility. They think safety means brand names they recognize. They think safety means dividends that show up every quarter like clockwork. They load up on utilities. They pile into consumer staples. They sit on long-term bonds. They hold cash because it helps them sleep. And they tell themselves a comforting lie. At least I'm not losing money. That's nonsense. If your portfolio isn't beating inflation after tax, you are losing money every single day. You just don't see it on your statement. Inflation doesn't scream. It whispers. It quietly eats your purchasing power while you're busy feeling safe. Let me give you a real scenario. You retire with $1 million. You think you're conservative. You target 4% income, $40,000 a year. Sounds reasonable, right? Now inflation runs at 4%. Your income didn't grow. Your costs did. In year 1, you're fine. Year 3, you feel tight. Year 5, you start cutting back. Year 10, you're scared. Nothing crashed. Nothing blew up. You just bled. That's what comfort trades do. They don't kill you fast. They drain you slowly. And 2026 is when this gets dangerous. Why? Because the environment is changing. Rates, debt, government spending, global instability, demographics. The old playbook is breaking. The things that worked when rates were falling don't work when capital has a cost. The things that worked when inflation was dead don't work when it's sticky. And the things that felt safe in the last decade are now quietly toxic. I've seen this movie before. People always crowd into yesterday's winners. They anchor to what used to protect them. They refuse to adapt. And when the damage finally shows up, it's too late. In the next part, I'm going to name the comfort trades everyone loves, the ones advisors still recommend, the ones retirees defend emotionally. And I'm going to tell you exactly why they bleed in 2026. Not hypothetically, mechanically. Let's talk about the comfort trades. These are the positions people defend emotionally. They say, I've owned this forever. My advisor put me here. This pays a dividend. I'm fine. No, you're not fine. The first comfort trade is long-term bonds. Treasuries, bond funds, anything with duration that stretches 10, 20, 30 years. People love them because they look calm. They don't swing like stocks. They feel adult, responsible. Here's the reality. When rates stay higher for longer, long bonds are poison. Every uptick in yields crushes principal, and inflation destroys the real value of the income. You're locking in yesterday's purchasing power while tomorrow gets more expensive. That's not safety, that's surrender. The second comfort trade is utilities. Power companies, water companies, gas distributors. Retirees love these things. They're essential. People always need electricity. True. But essential doesn't mean profitable in an inflationary, high-rate world. Utilities are capital intensive. They borrow constantly. When rates rise, costs explode, and regulators cap what they can charge. So margins compress. Dividends stop growing. And your so-called safe income stagnates. You don't get wiped out. You just fall behind. Next up, consumer staples. Household brands, food, cleaning products, personal care. People say everyone buys toothpaste in a recession. Yes, but at what margin? Input costs rise. Labor costs rise. Transportation costs rise, and consumers trade down. Margins get squeezed, earnings flatten, dividend growth slows. Again, nothing dramatic, just erosion. Then there's cash. This one is deadly. Cash feels amazing. No volatility, no red numbers. But after tax and inflation, cash is guaranteed loss. Guaranteed. If inflation runs at 4% and you earn 3, you're underwater. Every single year. Cash is not safety. Cash is procrastination. And the worst comfort trade of all? High-yield dividend traps. 8% yields, 9% yields, 10% yields. People see the income and stop thinking. High yield almost always means high risk, leverage, fragile business models, no pricing power. When trouble hits, dividends get cut. And price collapses at the same time. That's a double hit retirees can't recover from. Here's the common thread. All comfort trades share one flaw. They protect you from volatility, but they do not protect you from erosion. And erosion is the real enemy in retirement. I've seen this again and again. People don't fail because they took too much risk. They fail because they took the wrong kind of risk. They chose comfort over resilience. In the next part, I'm going to explain why 2026 makes this worse, why the math turns against these trades specifically, and why the timing matters more than people realize. Now let me tell you why 2026 is the danger zone. This isn't random. This isn't fear-mongering. This is math and timing. We are coming out of an era where money was free. Zero rates, easy debt, artificial calm. That world is gone. Governments are drowning in debt. They need higher rates to attract buyers. They need inflation to erode what they owe. That means two things for you. Rates stay higher longer. Inflation stays stickier than people expect. That combination is lethal for comfort trades. Long-term bonds get crushed because yields don't fall fast enough to save principal. Utilities suffer because refinancing gets more expensive. Staples can't raise prices fast enough without losing volume. Cash quietly melts. And dividend traps? They implode when refinancing hits reality. Here's what people don't understand. Markets don't collapse all at once anymore. They grind. They bleed you with sideways markets. They exhaust you emotionally. They make you complacent. And retirees are the most vulnerable in that environment. Why? Because sequence of returns matters. If you're drawing income during flat or down years, you're selling assets at bad prices. Even if the market recovers later, you've already done the damage. I've watched this happen. Good people, disciplined savers, wiped out slowly. Not because they panicked, because they trusted comfort. I lived through the dot-com crash, the financial crisis, the pandemic chaos. Every time, the same mistake. People cling to what feels familiar instead of what actually works in the new regime. They listen to advisors who haven't updated their playbook. They chase yesterday's safety. And by the time reality sets in, the window has closed. Let me be very clear. 2026 is not about a crash. It's about compression, compressed returns, compressed margins, compressed lifestyles. If your portfolio isn't built to grow income faster than inflation, you're losing. If your assets can't reprice upward, you're stuck. If your strategy depends on rates going back to zero, you're dreaming. In the next part, I'm going to show you what actually works. The opposite of comfort trades, positions that don't care if rates stay high, assets that adjust, cash flows that grow. This is where smart money moves when the rules change. Now listen carefully. This is where most people get it wrong. They hear me criticize comfort trades and they think I'm telling them to gamble. I'm not. I hate gambling. I hate speculation. I hate uncertainty. What I love is adaptive income, income that adjusts, businesses that reprice, assets that don't beg for lower rates to survive. This is how smart money behaves when the rules change. First, you need pricing power. If a business can raise prices without losing customers, it survives inflation. If it can't, it bleeds. That's why I favor companies with contractual revenue, royalties, licensing, infrastructure tied to usage, not promises. These businesses don't ask permission to grow cash flow. They just do it. Second, you need short duration income. I want my money repriced frequently, not locked in for decades. That means floating rate exposure, short-term instruments, assets that reset as rates change. If rates stay high, I get paid more. If rates fall, capital values adjust upward. That's flexibility. That's control. Third, you need dividends that grow, not high yield. Growing yield. A 6% yield that never grows is a trap. a 3% yield that grows every year, beats it over time. I want dividend growth above inflation. That's non-negotiable. Fourth, you need diversification by cash flow source, not by ticker. Stocks and bonds are labels. What matters is where the money comes from. Consumer spending, energy demand, data usage, infrastructure throughput, different engines, different cycles. This is how you reduce risk without killing returns. Let me say this bluntly. If your entire strategy depends on the Federal Reserve saving you, you're already in trouble. Hope is not a strategy. Waiting is not a strategy. Comfort is not a strategy. Adaptation is. In the final part, I'm going to tell you how to put this together, how much goes where, how this protects you during drawdowns, and how this gives you peace of mind without sacrificing income. This is the part retirees care about most. Now I'm going to tie this together. This is where discipline replaces fear. You don't fix comfort trades by swinging for the fences. You fix them by rebuilding around cash flow control. Here's how I think about it. I want income that adjusts. I want capital that isn't trapped. And I want exposure to real economic activity, not promises. That means part of the portfolio earns today, part resets frequently, part grows tomorrow. Not guesswork. Design. When markets grind sideways, adaptive income keeps paying you. When inflation sticks, pricing power protects you. When volatility hits, you don't panic because your cash flow doesn't disappear. That's the difference. People panic when income feels fragile. They sell when dividends get cut. They lock in losses because fear takes over. This structure prevents that. It gives you breathing room. It gives you time. And time is everything in retirement. Let me be crystal clear. You do not need to beat the market. You need to survive it. You need income you can rely on. You need growth that outruns inflation. And you need flexibility when conditions change. Comfort trades don't give you that. They lull you into complacency. Smart money doesn't chase comfort. It demands resilience. If you're watching this and thinking, this feels different, good. That means you're learning. If this video made you uncomfortable, even better. Discomfort is where protection begins. Now I want you to do 3 things. First, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this content matters to people who need it. Second, subscribe to this channel. This community exists to protect your retirement. No hype, no nonsense, just reality. Third, leave a comment. Tell me what you're holding that feels safe. I want to see it. Because the biggest risk heading into 2026 isn't volatility. It's complacency. I'm Kevin O'Leary. I've seen this cycle before, and this is how smart money behaves when the rules change.